from UT Tyler Occupational Therapy Program, and we're going to talk about mental health and depicting and going over movies, how certain characters have maybe a mental illness. So I chose the movie Frozen, and particularly I'm going to choose the character Elsa. So I'm going to go over these questions and then go over my answers. The first question is, describe the main character with a mental health diagnosis. So Elsa is supposed to be our queen of Arendelle. And I believe she presents with signs of anxiety disorder. And just note, I'm saying presents because as occupational therapists, we cannot diagnose. But I say she presents with signs because she experiences that overwhelming fear of hurting others. She has these magical powers. She was overall a happy child. It didn't really become a problem until the anxiety formed later. Like, people are like, don't use those magical powers. And then that anxiety started to happen. So that is a little bit about her. And also in the movie, there's a troll scene where it says her powers are a thing of beauty. So she's like all excited. And then they were like, but the trolls also say it's a great danger. So again, that anxiety, she cannot use those powers. And so she has emotional dysregulation as well. Question 2, what characteristics, pattern of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors does this character display? Can you identify any examples of public stigma, self-stigmatization, or structural stigmatization? So here we're going to talk about what exactly the patterns were and what she was feeling. So Elsa has that fear-based thinking. She just has that must protect others. Like, I need to hide away from my powers. So just very fearful. She's afraid she's going to do something. And with anxiety, you have that. You're afraid and worried constantly. She also has avoidant behavior. She's shutting away herself in a room. There's actually a little scene where Anna is like knocking on her door. Do you want to build a snowman? And the reason why she's doing that is because she's trying to get Elsa out of the room. And she's becoming avoidant behavior. She's hiding. So another scene about avoidant behavior is her parents give her gloves, to make sure she hides her powers. So she's very avoidant. And where they're singing, conceal it, don't feel it, don't let it show. She also has guilt and self-blame, especially when she was a child. She accidentally had her powers, and they were playing with the snow when she was really little, and then she shoots her power accidentally on Anna, and then Anna gets that little white silvery piece of hair. So she has a lot of guilt. Another thing she has is emotional suppression. It's because it's an intense control over her powers. Just a lot of emotion. And lastly, I would say another one is an isolation. Just from her sister and her kingdom, she's locked in her room. So she has anxiety, fear-based thinking, avoidant behavior. As far as public stigma, the townspeople in the movie, they react in fear and in panic when her powers are revealed. So that could even cause more mental illness for Elsa. As far as self-stigmatization, I would say Elsa believes she's dangerous and just unworthy of love because of her powers. It's really sad, really. And then structural stigma would be from her parents, because her parents isolated her from others by giving her the gloves, and she just became avoidant. Let's talk about another scene real quick. Let's talk about the coronation scene where Elsa's powers are accidentally exposed, and then she starts to flee and panic. So again, that avoidant behavior, she's just fleeing. She just feels dangerous to herself and to others. So this is a lot of mental illness that Elsa is going through. Next question. How do other people respond to the person with mental illness? Others' reactions. So I've kind of mentioned the townspeople already. They react with fear and mistrust. They just run away. They're completely scared of her. And they start screaming. So Anna, though, her sister, shows empathy, really just concern, saying, hey, it's okay, it's all right. And that's somebody who we need when we have anxiety and we're starting to feel those feelings. She wants that connection, that sister connection. And I think that's great when you have anxiety. Let's talk about Kristoff. So Kristoff is, he's kind of like neutral. Kristoff is Anna's boyfriend, I guess you could say. But he's neutral. He's kind of accepting of the situation. Not so much like support, but he's neutral. He's like, it's Anna's sister. Lastly, let's talk about Hans and the Duke. They view Elsa as a threat, and they want to eliminate her. Okay? So think about that if you have anxiety or some type of mental illness and somebody just wants to eliminate you, like just off you. Kind of crazy. Let's go to the next question. Okay. What areas of occupation are negatively affected by the character's pattern of behavior? How are they affected? So with social participation, this is where she's isolated. She doesn't know how to socially participate because she's locked in her room. She has that avoidant behavior. So, her social participation is going to be lacking. She doesn't really have many friends. Later in the movie, she does get Olaf, but that's another story. She technically created him. Okay, let's talk about ADLs and IADLs. Likely, they would be impacted due to her isolation. Maybe she was just locked in her room. Maybe she had to do everything herself, and she struggled. She had no support system. Her parents locked her in her room. Leisure. Ooh, leisure is missing because when Anna knocks on her door, do you want to build a snowman? And she's like, I can't. I'm too afraid. And so she's not able to have fun like a child, that play, that occupational play when she's younger. So as she gets older, leisure is affected. And lastly, emotional regulation. She just struggles to control her emotions. And as she's trying to control them, when she does, it just worsens her symptoms even more. So all of those emotional regulation that impacts her. So impacts her leisure, her socially, and most likely her ADLs and IADLs because her parents are just letting her be in her room. Number 5. What are the occupational roles of the character? Are they impacted by the character's disorder? So the occupational roles for Elsa, she is the Queen of Arendelle, okay? Her role is impaired. She's not able to be that queen because she's so avoidant and so fearful. She's also that sister, that daughter, and she just kind of detaches emotionally because she's in her room, and I think more than likely that's straining her relationship, especially with her sister, because all her sister wants to do is play with her, and she's like, no, I can't. And another thing I would say her occupational role is she feels like she needs to be that protector of her sister. And that's probably a lot of self-isolation and burden on yourself, feeling you have to always protect someone and just being, fearful that something's going to happen and you have to be that protector. 7, if you were this person's therapist, how would you begin to assist her in an occupational therapy? Just treatment approach. So if I was her therapist, first I would want to gather rapport. I would want to build that trust because she is already fearful and avoidant. She doesn't even want to talk to her own sister, let alone escape her room. So I would want to make sure I start slow, make sure it's in a calm and safe environment. And then next I would want to build her emotional awareness. I would just want to identify those emotional triggers, maybe like, especially if she was younger, I would do the zones of regulation. That would be awesome. I would want to expose her then to social situations. We would do social like cue cards, those little cards, and we would go to hypothetical situations. So we would talk about the social events. Next, also because she has anxiety, I want to work on breathing techniques. I think she needs to control her emotions better. We'd also work on like mindfulness, maybe do some yogas to really calm herself and make sure she's not so fearful, and limit that anxiety. And then also I want to do like a creative expression. Anna has these magical powers, so might as well as use them. Have her build like some ice sculptures. Really just get that positive emotions. Have her do music therapy. She loves music. She's always singing. So let's make stuff with her powers, and let's just start singing as we do this, so we can not be so afraid and we can be able to calm our anxiety. Question 8, what assessments would you provide for this individual? So I would do a role checklist. One of my favorite things. I want to get to know Elsa more. Because she's been isolated in her room, I want to know what she likes. I want to know what she likes, so I would do the role checklist. I would also do the COPM, which is the Canadian Occupational Performance Measure. And that's just to identify and prioritize any performance issues, what she's kind of lacking in certain areas. Those would be my 2 assessments I would use. 9, what types of activities would you provide to this individual? Why did you choose this? Activities for intervention. For activities. So I kind of talked about this earlier about what a treatment approach would be. I would do the art therapy, so we can see how she's processing her feelings. We could do it visually. We can make like some snow scenes with her magical powers. Maybe she can like do her magical powers and do like a happy snowman or a sad snowman. And we kind of just do a fun, unique, expressive art, a creative expression. We would also do the social skills activity. I would get her to try to make sure she rebuilds safe relationships. And then I would actually start slow in those social skill groups. I would start with just her sister, because she can't even do activities with her sister. Then I would do her sister, and then I would do maybe Kristoff and maybe Olaf, and do all those characters. But first I would start small. I would start with her sister. Let's see, another activity for intervention, sensory-based activities. I really like that. We could do the ice sculpting. We could walk. She escaped, so she likes outside. So maybe we could walk outside, and maybe she likes to play with the snow, because she loves to make snow with her magical powers. So we would use that snow and cold exposure of those sensory-based activities. Okay, 10. What did you enjoy about this movie? Dislike? Would you recommend it? It's just the overall reflection of the movie. Well, I love the song Let It Go like everybody else. But the reason why I like that song the most is because it's like a metaphor of Elsa's powers representing her struggles, of that anxiety, of that avoidant behavior, of what she's going through. She's feeling that fear, and she's isolated. So I think like Let It Go is such a great song for that movie. It's like, let it go, release all my fears, release my anxiety. What I disliked that Elsa's parents weren't that supportive of her. I mean, they gave her gloves, they told her to hide herself. That's kind of telling someone who really has anxiety, like, you shouldn't have anxiety. Let's just hide you in your room, be locked up. We disown you. Now, they did not say those things, but I feel like that's just as bad. This is very, like, harmful to her, and then it's making her have that emotional suppression. So don't like that about it. Would I recommend the movie? Yes, completely. I think this movie is great for kids. Now, we went into detail about this movie. I think it would be great for any mental health class, because we can talk about the emotional health and the stigma and that need for self-acceptance and that social connection, how it's so important as a child. Because if you don't get that, then later in life, it can affect you. You can have problems doing social communication. You can have problems with yourself. I mean, that anxiety is just so stressful. You become fearful, and it makes life so much harder. So that is my summary about the movie.